I played this entire thing in 4K, even though I had to upload it for YouTube reasons in 1080. But you can pause this video at any moment. There's a screenshot opportunity everywhere you look. The visuals of this game are absolutely beautiful. It's basically one huge wallpaper everywhere you look. It's very pleasing, but it's also very easy on the eye. The colors are soft. It feels a bit like a warm painting, and it plays like a very good video game. Before anything else in this review, just let me talk to you real quick about the controller haptics. I played this on controller, like I said, 4K. I was sitting on my bed playing it on my TV. You know the PlayStation 5 controller with its dual sense technology? Well, it mimics that. It's a little bit like that, and I have not felt anything like it. Honestly, on PC so far, I think this is the first video game that I've played on a controller that feels a bit like the dual sense from PlayStation 5. I don't know how they were able to implement the haptics like this, but it's... Ooh, you gotta try it. You have to feel it. Like, for example, Forza 5, which is rather, the latest Forza. It's a pretty cool video game. Or take it Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is the latest Assassin's Creed so far. They have boring haptics, and most video games have boring haptics. You just want to turn them off. There is no gradient, like it's either on or off. It doesn't get higher or lower when you're playing Forza. Either it rumbles or it doesn't. The same thing with Valhalla. Here, the haptics are completely different depending on what's happening in the cutscene, because let me tell you, it only affects the cutscene, not the gameplay. Again, something pretty special. It's all gradual, right? I'm playing this on a 10, maybe even more 10-year-old Xbox controller for PC. Nothing special. Whatever they did here, they implemented via the software. The developers were able to simulate something quite unique. Never felt anything like it. You have to feel it. Like, for example, there's a moment in a cutscene when Lana faints, and now she's coming back to her senses. And as she's coming back, the controller vibrates differently. It's a gradual feeling. Never felt anything like it. Not on my controller. Again, this is not a PlayStation 5. This is just a boring Xbox controller. But they were able to simulate that in haptics. Incredible. Like 10 out of 10. As for this specific type of video game, well, fun fact about me, I don't really play platformers. The game that I've played, I already reviewed on this channel. I don't really play platformers because they are impossibly hard. They're just so difficult. Most platformers make Warzone look like a walk in a park. The majority of them are very difficult. Here, you don't have a difficulty setting. It all comes by default, but you don't need to worry about that. This game is pretty easy. And helping along with that platforming is your cat friend. Well, I don't think he's a cat, but he kind of looks like a cat, so we're gonna call him a cat. You can control this pet, which is not a pet, but I'm gonna get into that. Him or her, not exactly if it's a boy or girl, depending on your imagination. Go wild. He is your companion through this journey, and he's gonna help you raising all sorts of obstacles. You can tell him to sit or come depending on the scenario, but this kind of works both ways, which means that you kind of need your companion, your cat, just as much as he needs you. You're kind of in it together from the first moment you see him, because he was trapped in a cage, whatever, no spoilers. And because of this, throughout the story, the bond between you guys just gets stronger, and you feel that with progression. It gets a little bit emotional too. Speaking about emotional in story, if you've seen any giant robot, alien robots or something like that, looking like gigantic bugs with tentacles adopting humans from their natural habitat, it's probably because you've watched War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. Yeah. This video game, from the first cutscene, whatever happens in it, I'm like, wait, I've seen this before. Oh, it's War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. Yep. I guess they might have been inspired by it. I know that film was inspired by a book, so we're not gonna judge, but it does seem a bit familiar. And there's a sensibility to the story here. You don't really get with most platformers. A lot of platformers are specifically done to be hard just so you can pass the level. People that are hardcore platforming gamers notice, and that's why they play them. This was not really made for those guys. This was made more for us, the folks who enjoy a good story. Instead of, first of all, the hero getting a weapon, as usually you do get a bunch of weapons, and he's in fight mode from the beginning, here you really feel vulnerable at every single turn. Your hero, the one that you control, doesn't really feel like a badass hero. Maybe because it's a 12-year-old boy or girl, depend on your version. You need to escape to survive so she or he can get to his brother. He wants to save his brother, the one that you meet at the beginning, and that gives him purpose, but it doesn't make him badass. It just makes him a kid who wants to get back with his family. What's gonna happen along the way, it's absolutely worth it. The story is super good, and by the end, I tried not to shed a tear because it gets a bit dark, also a bit sad, but it's that much good. A lot of people think that Lana, because it's the name Lana, it's a little girl, right? Well, I don't know. If you take a look at the character, you feel like you're controlling a little boy. Anyway, Lana as a name, I feel like is the same with Terry. It's a bit of a neutral type of name. So yeah, maybe they actually did this on purpose, the devs, just so you can use your imagination, go wild. Vivid, hand-painted art style of the game is very well complemented by the subtle soundtrack. Do not turn the soundtrack down. Leave it. This is one of those video games you have to play with a controller, haptics on, and with headphones. I played half of it with headphones, half without. But trust me, you need to hear this soundtrack. Remember, like, there was an anime, I think it was My Neighbor Totoro, the animated film. Yeah, the soundtrack feels like Remember My Neighbor Totoro. Both the artwork and sound are incredible, and they go together hand in hand. Don't know who was the director of this or who took this decision. I'm thinking that these people don't have like 1 million employees. It's an indie company. There's a couple of folks here who made this video game, but the blend between the visual and the sound, it's exquisite. Like, whatever budget they had to make this video game, most of it went into the haptics and the sound. Yep. There is absolutely no dialogue between Lana and her cat, the companion. But you feel the relationship. It's there. Trust me. The soundtrack also helps along, amplifying this feeling of companionship, of camaraderie. I don't think that's how you say it. The moment when Lana hugs her cat because, she got her back and she was able to escape from the trap, just the soundtrack dips a little bit. It gives you that tiny little bit of tingling in your heart. Very joyful, and also a bit of a relief that she was able to get back with her friend. This happens. These moments are sprinkled all throughout the story. You gotta play it with it and feel it. This relationship almost feels a bit like a symbiosis. And you just keep playing to see what will happen next to our friends here. Before you know it, it's kind of over. The game lasts for about 4 hours. Yeah, I know, it's pretty short. I think I played it for about 7 hours, mostly because I didn't really know how to get past the puzzles and I kept dying a lot because I suck at platforming, but that's another thing. It's a short game, and that just makes it so much better. Indie games like Planet of Lana are not known by a lot of people. Not a lot of folks put them on their most played list, right? Because people don't even know these games exist to begin with. Probably Steam has not recommended to you this video game. But since you're here watching this, it's no longer under your radar and you are aware that this exists. This is more like a hunch to me, but the actual name, Planet of Lana, feels like they did it so for a reason. I mean, of course, they wouldn't have picked a random title, sure, but because this feels like this girl's home. It's her world. She knows the outside, she knows the places, she's familiar with the forest, she's familiar with the caves. This is her home that's getting invaded, and that's her brother that got adopted by these robot aliens. And the story unravels in such a way where you have to sort of survive and defend this place. Story itself shows how Lana, her brother, her companion, they all belong here. And these intruders clearly don't. This is their planet. This is Lana's world, Lana's planet. Years to come from now on, I don't know, not years like 20 years, okay, because we play a lot of video games, but next year, the year after that, 2026, I don't know. You're probably not going to remember this, maybe, but you will enjoy while you're playing it right now. And it's one of the most story-driven games I played so far in 2023. Granted, not a lot of them have come up there. Hogwarts Legacy, yeah, that had a lot of story. Okay, moving on. There's no performance issue. Honestly, I played this in 4K. Whatever, the frames for video games like these don't matter, but I feel like you can easily play this on integrated graphics, even if you don't have a dedicated GPU. If you have a work laptop, if you have a regular laptop, you can pick this up and you can play it on a potato. So it doesn't really matter. So you have no excuse to pick this up, man, and just give it a go. It's actually that good. My name's Rakashu. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Lana!